You're welcome to Global Reports on Liberty Television. I am Arthur Brooks from Liberty Studio number 1 in Kaduna, Crocodile City. Hello to all of you watching us in Nigeria, and a special hi to you viewers watching us across West Africa, and to our friends worldwide watching us live on the internet, on YouTube and Facebook. Today, we look at some of the global news reports that have featured in the world's media for the last 7 days. Today, I'm joined in the studio by Ferdinand Okonkwo and to Abdul. Gentlemen, welcome to the studio.
Thank you for having me, and Happy New Year, viewers.
Happy New Year, everybody.
It's a pleasure to be on your program.
This week in the USA, the presidents of the USA said some rather bad language. Just watch this report on BBC.
President Donald Trump will not be visiting Britain next month. He had been due to attend the official opening of the new US Embassy in South London. He tweeted that he'd cancelled the trip because he's not a big fan of the new embassy. Downing Street insists that the strong and deep partnership between the two countries will endure, and says a state visit will still take place, although no date has been set. The president is also under fire from the United Nations, which criticised his reported crude comments about some countries as shocking and racist, although Donald Trump now denies using foul language. Tom Burridge has the latest.
Donald Trump will not be opening America's new London embassy next month. As ever, the president took to Twitter, claiming he'd cancelled his trip here because the Obama administration had sold the old US embassy for, he said, peanuts, only to build a new one in an off location for more than $1 billion. Wanted me to cut ribbon? No. But perhaps the prospect of this on a much larger scale during the visit put the president off. The Mayor of London said there would have been mass peaceful protests. Other Labour politicians agree.
Here you have the head of state of another country who's not only promoted hatred and division in his own country, but is surely, given his online activity, guilty of doing the same in our country too.
But Nigel Farage, who was the first British politician to meet Donald Trump after he was elected US president, says it's bad for Britain.
We have an American president who's the most pro-British there's been for many, many years. It's an important relationship. You know, I would like to see the president come here. And I think actually, I'd like to see him deal with his critics in open, proper, public debate.
So what about the president's claim that the sale of the soon-to-be former US embassy in Mayfair's exclusive Grosvenor Square was a bad deal? We don't know what Qatari investors have paid for a long leasehold on the building. The fact that it's a Grade 2 listed building would have dropped the price. But if President Trump is offended by some in Britain, many millions in Africa and elsewhere are today potentially outraged. Because during a meeting at the White House, Donald Trump reportedly made offensive comments about developing countries when discussing a deal on immigration.
These are shocking and shameful comments from the President of the United States. I'm sorry, but there's no other word one can use but racist. You cannot dismiss entire countries and continents as whose entire populations, who are not white, are therefore not welcome.
In London, only a wax model of the president makes it near the new embassy for now. He, or it, got a very friendly reception this morning. At times, the real Donald Trump has invoked anger in Britain. But for some, this is about the office he holds and the very close relationship between our two countries. Tom Burridge, BBC News.
That's actually two stories there. One is the story that says the planned state visit to UK he has cancelled, although that state visit was ostensibly to open a new embassy in London, which Donald Trump is using the excuse that it was the Obama regime that decided to move the place, which is not true, but it goes back to even before George Bush. So that's another issue. But I believe basically Donald Trump doesn't want to come to London or UK because he may get abused both in public and in private in the UK. As of the other words he used in an interview, which I'm not sure we can say live on air, but it's something in the sounds like S-hole. Although I noticed BBC World Service deliberately used the term, and they gave viewers warning. We're going to use a very bad word, but we're using it because we want people to know what the President of the United States actually said. So that's the story. Ferdinand, what do you say about this story? What have you got to say? Any comments?
Well, I know you know where I belong. I'm not a fan of President Trump right from the inception. I've always told you, either in this place or outside, that this man is a problem. He's a tsunami. And we are witnessing the unfolding drama. Are we surprised? After all he said during his campaign, abusing people, abusing countries, saying all those things, all sorts of things, and you think immediately he becomes president and all those things will whittle away? Oh, no. We are mistaken. Trump will always remain Trump. This is just a minor to what we will continue to hear from him. But come to think of it, if we come back to Africa, we're not making ourselves whatever anybody could call us anywhere. This is a country where somebody will sit in the seat of presidency for more than 30 years and will not want to come down. What are you? In fact, our leaders are making us much more than what anybody could call us outside there. It's high time we come home. We do a retrospection. Let's reflect on ourselves. Are we actually what people are presenting us? Why are we so power hungry? Why are we so power drunk? Why are we so destructive of our basic instincts of humanity?
Ferdinand, let me just hold you there. Let us hear what Abdul Hassan has to say.
Well, it's no surprise, for Donald Trump to say what he has said or what he has been saying since he's been in office. If you've been following his public appearances and his utterances, unguarded utterances, you will know that this man doesn't mean well for the world globally. That's the way I look at him, because from day one, I've had my reservations about him. This is somebody who came in and he was trying to send everybody away from America. The good relationship that previous leaders of America have promoted with the outside world. Somebody just came. Well, I'm not surprised, because that's a guy who has a hotel, a club background, to become a president. So it's ridiculous for somebody of his caliber to head America. That's somebody who I don't think he means well for America itself. He's a club material. Yes, he runs a nightclub, and you know what that transcends to. So it's not surprising. Yes, playboy. Be a wrestling.
We don't want to say.
You see him in wrestling, managing some wrestlers. I mean, that guy.
I think.
I wouldn't toy his line. I would have used a language that is uncomplimentary, just like he did on Africa.
Yeah.
But I think I'll reserve my comment. But it's not surprising for Trump to behave the way he's doing.
Well, it's
looking at his background.
It's characteristic.
Yes.
Apparently, he was indicted in the 1980s by the federal government for refusing to house or give housing or allow blacks to Americans to have housing.
Yes.
So it's not. It's normal for him.
Yes, and you shouldn't forget. These same whites, whatever they call Africa today, it's not surprising. The Africans themselves have not had issues, just like Mr. Okonkwo said, because we have leaders who are sit-tight leaders, and they don't actually have anything to deliver, but they want to remain in power perpetually. milking the ordinary people,
And the process of coming
not
to
actually
leadership
setting an
in
agenda
Africa.
to actually bring development to the people. You can see the crisis reading
process
Africa.
that brought them is questionable.
Yes.
Do we really have a process in this
So
place?
we are
in the
open.
place where Trump is seated, you call America. What are they glorifying for? They're just glorifying
Trump
the
should go back to
process.
history.
It's the
We
institution.
should go back to history.
But I assure you
should
something.
know that America itself was developed by the blacks. They fought and laid their lives. The sugar he's taking for his tea, the blacks farmed it. And actually, he wouldn't have been what he is today if the blacks hadn't contributed to the
And I
history
cry
of
for America, Mr.
For him to
I cry
have
for
made
America.
this
You know what?
uncomplimentary statement is really
Trump
unbecoming of
will
a
end
leader
up-
of his status.
He will end up throwing America into whatever shit he calls.
Yeah.
America will find themselves into that hole, whether a shit hole or whatever hole.
Yes.
It's America that will find itself in that hole.
Yes.
By the time this one finishes 8 years in office.
Okay, gentlemen.
If actually he could.
Let us move on. Our time is not indefinite.
Thank you.
Much as we like it to be. Last week, I would say, there was an unfortunate incident, or incidents, shall we say, in Benue State, and they also happened in Taraba. So let us watch a report from Chinese television.
A total of 71 people have been killed following a week of violence in the country's Benue state. Now, according to authorities, much of the violence involves clashes between Muslim cattle herders and Christian farmers. Muslim herdsmen, mainly of the Fulani ethnic group, and Christian farmers often clash over the use of land in remote areas of the Middle Belt region. The killings endanger efforts by President Muhammadu Buhari to bring security and stability to Nigeria, a key campaign pledge when he ran for office in 2015. Now, the police chief has since allayed all fears, stating that the country is secure and more police will be deployed to Benue State. Well, let's bring you an update on this story. I'm joined live from Lagos by CGTN's Deji Badmus. Deji, the police chief, saying that the country is now safe. Is the situation, though, back to normal in Benue State?
Well, Lindy, what I can tell you is that the situation is indeed back to normal, even though some people will tell you it's a calm of the graveyard for now. But as we speak, the Minister of Interior and the Minister of Agriculture are meeting with the governor of that north central state, that is Benue State. They're also meeting with the governor of a neighboring state to that state now, Taraba State. So that meeting is actually going on as we speak. We don't know what the outcome would be, but the meeting, of course, was called as a result of this violent clashes that took place over the week. And but for now, the situation has returned to normal. The protests have stopped. We just have to wait and see what that meeting will bring forth. But all the same things are calm for now, Lindy, over there.
Security, stability were major campaign pledges back in 2015 when the president campaigned to come into power. Do you think that the government is confident that they've done enough since then to stem insecurity?
That the country is actually not happy about. People are mounting pressure on the government to do something about it, more so because the president himself is from the Fulani ethnic tribe, and people expect him to do more to check this violence that is going on. Unfortunately, it does not appear the government has gotten a complete grasp now of the problem. But of course, the president has reassured the country that the situation will be dealt with decisively. Some arrests have been made, but people want the government to do more, and we just wait and see what this meeting that is going on now will produce. But there's no question at all that people think the government has not done enough when it comes to dealing with this issue of herdsmen. It's a problem that is affecting not just the north, the north central of the country. Everywhere across the country is being affected, Lindy. And going forward, everyone will want to see this resolved at least before the next election.
Indeed. Deji Badmus live for us there from Lagos. Thank you very much.
Yeah, this situation is very serious, and I think we need to separate the the ethnic and the religious aspects and try to get to a clear understanding of what is really going on. Ferdinand.
I take exception to some aspect of that report where you say Christian farmers and Muslim herders. Why that report? Does it mean that every farmer in Benue State is a Christian?
Yeah,
No, it does. It's not obtainable in that way. Secondly, this same issue had happened in Zamfara State in a greater magnitude. Lives lost in greater magnitude. See, we should understand what we have at hand. The destruction of Libya has opened us up to a lot of things. And headers are not controlled. You can't control headers. They move from one country to the other, and they don't follow the normal route. They come through they can enter through anywhere. And as they are moving with anything they can afford. And it's a bigger problem than we are trying to make it. The more we politicize this, the more we ethnicize it, the more we religionize it, the more we open ourselves to danger. It is high time we come together. It's unfortunate that people are just careless while fellow citizens are dying. And that calls us back to the statement from Trump. Why will he not say what he said? Can fellow citizens of America rise today to fight their fellow citizens, to kill and celebrate the killing? That is what makes us barbaric. And I am waiting for the day the government will rise up to their fundamental responsibility, protection of lives and property of the people. It's callous. Life lost in Adamawa is the same thing as life lost in Zamfara. It's the same thing as life lost in Benue. It's the same thing as life lost in any part of Nigeria. The truth is that there is a failure in the security architecture of this country.
Abdul,
I think I will toy the footstep of Mr. Okonkwo, because that report is kind of biased. I think the Chinese media, whatever, it's quite unfortunate for them to have put up such a report, crediting it to Muslim-Christian issue. No, far from it. Yes, it's politicized, agreed, yes, but it has nothing to do with Christian, Muslim, whatever. There are Muslim farmers, there are Christian farmers. We know predominantly the herders are Fulanis, and don't think these herders are only from Nigeria. No, there are international laws that countries have to domesticate, which they have domesticated over years. Most of the countries have domesticated these laws in their countries. The grazing route from Mali, wherever, up to Nigeria, it's legal. There's nothing illegal about it. Even before the coming of the colonial masters, these routes have been there. The only thing is that the way we handle our situations, I think my take is that I think the leaders are not being fair about the way they are handling issues. They are giving it some coloration, religious coloration, and they're trying to whip up sympathy unnecessarily where there is none.
Don't you think there's politics?
It's politics. I told you from the onset. It's politically motivated. There's nothing religious about it. It's a diversionary tactics. They want to steal money, so they will create problem, and people will all be confused, and they will be stealing. Because the issue is the issue of insecurity. No leader, no government will tell you that they can account for what they have spent on security. Gentlemen, that is how they steal Nigerian money.
We have to stop there. Our time is up. We could happily stay with you discussing these issues all day and all night. For more global reports, join us here in the studio next week, same time, same place. Thanks again to my guests, Ferdinand and Abdul, and thanks to my studio and production crew. We're all signing off for another week. Please keep watching.